Okay, this is really cool. We're just going to look at little parts of it. The letter of Aristes. Okay, you will read here the first great bibliophile, Ptolemy Philadelphus. He desires to collect into his library at Alexandria all the books in the world. Finally, in his passion to secure one great work, the Jewish laws, he trades 100,000 captives for that book. This is probably the highest ever paid for a single work. It represents an unusual reason for the end of the Great Captivity. So he's willing to pay a lot and trade people, let them go for this book. And then he says here, I perceive that you possess a natural love of learning, a quality which is the highest possession of man, to be constantly attempting to add to his stock of knowledge and acquirements, whether through the study of history or by actually participating in the events themselves. So why did he want this book? For virtue, let's see, and the highest value to the Jews in his own country and foreign lands, for the interpretation of the divine law. For their laws are written on leather parchments in the Jewish characters. And then he said, he's talking about men who live in accordance with these holy laws, the divine laws. Everything that tends to build up the soul. So this spiritual knowledge. And he talks about, he says, on a former occasion too, I sent you a record of the facts which I thought worth relating about the Jewish race. The record which I had obtained from the most learned priest of the most learned land of Egypt. Now, I had already just I just knew this already, all this information. I just kind of had a knowing in my soul about this Egypt connection, about these divine laws that they had, and this is why everyone wanted to copy them and wanted these books. This book, like, he was willing to give up 100,000 captives for one book. Okay? That's how important these divine laws are. As you are eager to acquire knowledge of those things which can benefit the mind, the Bible is all about the mind and the natural laws. I feel that's why it contains every sin you can think of is in the Bible. Every answer to every question is in there. It's a library that will benefit your mind, uplifts your soul, gives you the truth about things, and connects you right to your psyche and soul. Okay? Teaches you how to walk right. It's alive, and it's always talking to you. Okay. I should feel the same duty towards all who possess the same disposition, but I feel it especially towards you, since you have aspirations which are so noble, since you are not only my brother in character, no less than in blood, but are one with me as well in pursuit of goodness. For neither the pleasure derived from gold, nor any of the possessions which are prized by shallow minds, confers the same benefit as the pursuit of culture and the study which we expend in securing it. Okay? And he says here, I am told that the laws of the Jews are worth transcribing and deserve a place in your library. For in the country of the Jews they use a peculiar alphabet, just as the Egyptians, too, have a special form of letters, and speak a peculiar dialect. They are supposed to use the Syriac tongue, but this is not the case. Their language is quite different. So I just thought this was really interesting. This is how important understanding laws are, divine laws. And then when you have all these laws of the world put on you, you're like, no, I know the real divine law. And you're not taking part in contracts and this and that, these spiritual things, it's really deep. this is like a lifelong study. The Bible's called the Book of the Law of the God of Jacob. Okay, we got Moses with the law. It's one of the first things, and it shows you how important it is. It says in there, cursed are they who don't know this law. Day and night I will meditate on your law. These are the laws of mind, the laws of the cosmos. Cosmos means law. So I think it's really important, especially with what we're seeing in the world. So those who are held in such miserable bondage, as I have been at pains to discover, the God who gave them their law is the God who maintains your kingdom. They worship the same God, the Lord and Creator of the universe, as all other men, as we ourselves, O King, though we call him by different names, such as Zeus or Dis. This name was very appropriately bestowed upon him at our first ancestors, in order to signify that he, through whom all things are endowed with life and come into being, is necessarily the Writer and Lord of the universe. Set all mankind an example of magnanimity by releasing those who are held in bondage. So they're like, hey, this is the same thing with Paul. When he went in a trance and he saw God. And then he came upon his friends, and they were worshiping on Mars Hill. They were worshiping something called the unknown God. And Paul says, this God that I'm telling you about, you're already worshiping him unknowingly. So here they're telling you everyone's worshiping the same God under different names. And you wonder why they took this out of the Bible, because these books they removed from the Bible explain everything about the Bible. It's like all the missing questions of what this all means. And there's one power, there's one God. Out of all things, this sprung from this life force, this animating power. All things are born, and all things are living and breathing because of this God. Okay? And these divine laws are really important. So that's really interesting, huh? So, and they're talking about wanting liberty and freedom for the human race. And this is what the Bible says, that I have been anointed to preach the gospel, to bring good tidings, to set people free, not to put them in more bondage, not to put them into a religion, but to set their minds, hearts, and souls free, and teach them of the divine laws and the order of God and the perfect will of God that's already engrafted in their heart, that they can learn to recognize who God really is. This stuff is really deep. It's, these divine laws.